Hello fellas and files, Film Guru here. So for those who are new to the channel, my name is Sean, also known as Film Guru, and I started this channel to have my say in particular movies, TV shows and a variety of other film content. So thanks for joining me today. Today I'll be reviewing The Night House. This was directed by Dave Buckner and stars Rebecca Hall. The film follows the story of Beth, played by Rebecca Hall. Still reeling with the death of her husband at his own hands, she's left feeling lost and confused, wondering why he took his own life. As she tries to deal with her loss, strange occurrences begin to happen in the house. She starts to question her sanity and wondering if the present is actually her deceased husband lingering within the house that he built. As she starts to unravel the mystery, certain things come to light that will have a lasting effect on her. I was actually really impressed with this little thriller. I thought it was really well done. I thought Rebecca Hall was fantastic. I love the fact that it was set in one location pretty much for the whole movie in this sort of house. I like the design of the house and the different rooms and the doors and the way they use that house to tell the story and create suspense and the thrilling aspects of the movie. For me, it sort of felt a cross between Hereditary and Invisible Man. There was aspects of both films there. It created an interesting and sort of atmospheric aspect to the movie. There's this sort of mystery to it. You're not quite sure what's real and what's not. And when she starts to have these sort of weird visions and dreams, you're not sure what's real and what isn't. And I like that aspect to it. It sort of kept you guessing till the very end, able to create and craft its own thing. It really tells an interesting story that's compelling, engaging, thrilling, and suspenseful. And it is a really well-crafted story in a lot of ways, and sort of a very interesting take on these sort of idea of characters or houses being haunted and how they sort of go about showing that. I really loved that. Like I mentioned, I like the sort of house and design. I like the isolation of the woods where the house is sort of built with this lake. And this sort of, at night, you can see how it would become sort of dark and scary and kind of creepy. And that creates the atmosphere for the movie. And I thought this was a really great location. It starts off slow and sort of building the story and the character of Beth. And then once it gets going, once it starts revealing these things, it's this roller coaster of emotions and surprises and shocks along the way. And I really love that. I like the use of sound and sound design within the film and music. And how they're able to do things practically, how they're able to create suspenseful moments or sequences using just sound effects or just using sort of techniques with the camera and in-camera sort of shooting, which I really thought was great. It had a little bit of that CGI, special effects, but it was only minimal and it was used effectively. And it worked really well because of the practicality of the other sort of effects that they were using in the movie. Much like the character Beth, you start to question your own sanity of not quite sure what you're seeing or what is real and what isn't. I like movies like this where it starts to get you to question things and it allows the audience to become a participant rather than just an observer. And I think that's a great way to draw in audiences so they feel part of it. And I think that's really important. I think this accomplishes that quite well. Like I said, I think Rebecca Hall's really great here. She really inhabits the character, adds a lot of nuances and subtleties to her performance. She's able to go through such heightened emotions in this and goes through ultimately the stages of grief. And how she navigates through that is really interesting to watch. When things are slowly revealed about her husband, she slowly starts to become unglued and seems quite crazy and erratic, as I think it's good character development and aspects to the character that we're learning and seeing through her eyes. But things aren't quite what they seem, and I like that. I like her reaction to situations and the way she expresses herself. I think it's really great. If it's a character you feel sort of a connection to, you feel for because of what she's gone through and the terrible loss she's faced. But also her going through the grief and trying to come to terms with what's transpired and trying to make sense of what's going on. But in this, she finds a strength she didn't know she had. It only fights to the very end for the truth. She just wants to know what's going on. I think this is definitely one of her best performances. Particular use of music in this film. It creates this shocking moment. It sort of shocks you out of things, much like her character. And I kind of like the use of that sort of music in it. And there's a sequence in it that really made me jump. I don't jump very much in horror movies, but there's a sequence that made me jump because of the use of sound and what was going on. And it's set in the darkness of an isolation of the woods. And it was kind of a shocking and surprising moment. And I was really impressed by that. I like movies that I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. And especially with horror and creating a sort of shocking or suspenseful moment is really important to me, and I think this film really captures that. I think he's a really fascinating director. He understands suspense and horror really well, and he's able to craft a really engaging and interesting film. Final thoughts. In the end, the film's really about process of grief, coming to terms with what has transpired for you, of losing a loved one, and how that has effect on you, and how you try and navigate through that and try and get through to the other side. But sometimes there's things that are unanswered, and you really want those answers because you feel without them you can't move forward. I'm going to give The Night House 4 out of 5. I thought it was solid, interesting, well done, very engaging film, great atmosphere to it, and I really liked what they're able to accomplish with a film set pretty much in one location. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe at the bottom, follow me on Facebook and Letterboxd. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.